Hey, Steve Mignani here doing the junkyard crawl in Berniston, Massachusetts at Berniston Auto Wrecking with something kind of unusual. The first year for an Oldsmobile SUV. That's right, Oldsmobile actually made an SUV. It was called the Bravada, and these were made between 1991 and 2001, and here it is right here, Bravada. And yes, all-wheel drive. Yes, these things were all-wheel drive. Let's dig in. Now, 1991 was the first year that the S10 based Blazer was available as a four-door with a 117 or 107-inch wheelbase, which was about 6 inches longer than a two-wheel drive Blazer. Well, the Bravada was based on that same four-door Blazer platform, but with some significant changes. Now, the Bravada was always powered by the 4.3-liter small block V6. And I say small block V6 because this engine truly is a 350 Chevy small block minus 2 cylinders. Now this 1991 has 160 horsepower, and the next year we go to 200 horsepower, but there is the 2-barrel fuel injection throttle body. These things right here are just the electronic injectors. They spray right down into the throttle body, and essentially it's not a glorified carburetor, but it's a very simple way to add electronic fuel injection to an engine that otherwise could also run with a carburetor. But again, this is a 350 Chevy minus 2 cylinders. It's a 262 cubic inch V8. And again, these are pretty popular and powerful little engines, not to be confused with the 3.8 liter Buick based V6 seen in Regals, and of course the 2.8 liter V6, which was a 60-degree narrow V junk V6 seen in earlier Blazers. But again, this 4.3 was enough power to move this thing down the road. Now the weird thing about the Bravada was the grille. Now we can see here that it looks kind of like a Blazer, but this is one of those great examples of General Motors quickie facelift in plastic. They kind of gave the Bravada this, well, kind of horrible plastic injection molded grille, body colored, quick way to make it look different from a Blazer while still kind of being a Blazer four-door. Now the other side, the Bravada came with these plastic cladding here along the body, the wheel arches, and down here. Again, Pontiac was a big user of plastic body panels to make their cars look different. Firebirds, of course, look different from Camaros because of the plastic cladding down low. But again, Bravada had that as well. Now, Bravadas were all four-wheel drive, but these did not share the Blazer's four-wheel drive system, which was a fairly dedicated off-road system. By contrast, the Bravada used something called Smart Track, which was an automatic all-wheel drive system with no low range. These were not meant for off-road use at all, except for like getting out of snow drifts and, you know, road-type applications. A lot of people call this a mall, you know, an SUV for the mall. But with that said, the Bravada does have aluminum wheels. These were relatively standard, and they look similar to Blazer stuff, but they're slightly different. The center caps are here, and they have this little screw-on thing here with the keyway to prevent theft. And again, these are upsized tires, factory stuff, and again, for them to be legal, these small wheel lips had to be added on. So the Bravada was sort of a rich man's SUV, if you will. Take a peek inside, scoot around, and you'll see that these things were loaded. Power windows, air conditioning, power seats, all of that stuff was standard equipment, whereas on a Blazer four-door or two-door, you would have paid a lot more for those options. But again, the Bravada was Oldsmobile's SUV. Inside, this thing has been gutted, but we see here all the Bravada logos on the floor. And even the Bravada owner's manual right here that we found inside of the car. And here it is, Oldsmobile. And oh, how nice. Look at this. This one was sold new by John Coleman at Oldsmobile Jeep Eagle of somewhere, but it's all faded out. But inside, this gives you the instructions on how to drive with the Smart Track all-drive system. And the reality is, you didn't have to do anything. In fact, the Smart Track was shared with the Astrovan all-wheel drive system. And in fact, the GMC Typhoon all-wheel drive system has similar components, although that's a little heavier duty than what's found in the Bravada. Now, we move back, we see here, of course, the S10 Blazer, four-door, 107-inch wheelbase, the extra back doors. And again, 1991 was the first year for the four-door S10 style Blazer. And again, this is the platform that the Bravada was based on. There were no two-door Bravadas, all were four doors. Now it has the very useful tailgate. And again, as a small SUV, these are fairly useful. Again, yeah, these are known as the all-terrain vehicle because of the fact that they don't have a low gear. They're not really meant for going off-road unless you're spinning out into a snowbank and you can get yourself out. But these are fairly popular in New England. But again, these were sold at Oldsmobile dealers, and these gave Oldsmobile dealers something to fight the Blazer with. And in fact, all through the 80s, Oldsmobile was frustrated. They didn't have a muscle car. There was no Camaro. There was no Firebird type vehicle. There was no Corvette. And Oldsmobile didn't have trucks. They didn't even have SUVs. So GM threw Oldsmobile a bone in the form of the 1991 through 2001 Bravada all-wheel drive. Now these are, fairly rare. You don't see them then or now. This one here at Bernardston Auto Wrecking has been in Massachusetts pretty much all of its life, and sadly, this one probably has terminal frame rust and floor rust. But again, as an unusual example of Oldsmobile's first SUV, the 2001 back to 1991 Bravada is it. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe to the Steve Maggs YouTube channel, and there's lots more here at Bernardston Auto Wrecking, and we'll be bringing it to you soon.